Hello, sixth graders. Today is Monday, so you have two tasks to complete. You need to complete the igneous rock model, which I'll show how to do in this video. And after that, you'll use your igneous rock model to tell the igneous section of your rock story. Now, before we get started, if you haven't watched the project introduction video, stop this video and watch that one first. If you've already watched that video, let's get going. Now, today is the Igneous Day, where we are telling the igneous rock section of our story. So you do not need to complete these two today. Just the igneous rock section is it. So I am going to go ahead and zoom in on this section right here. Grab a piece of paper, grab your packet, whatever you need to draw this model, and just go ahead and follow along with me. We started our story by drawing a model to help us remember all of the important words related to igneous rock. So I'm going to try to draw a picture of how an igneous rock is formed, making sure I address all of those important words from my vocabulary list. I know that I need to use melting, cooling, magma, lava, and igneous rock in this section of my story. So I'm going to try to draw a picture here where that happens. Now, where should I get started? Let's think about where igneous rocks are made. Melting and cooling. I know that the melting happens deep down in the earth below the crust. What's that layer called below the crust again? The mantle. That's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the crust and I'm going to draw the mantle. Now, do you guys remember how a igneous rock cools? That's right. It comes up through a volcano. So in my picture, I'm going to include a volcano too. All right. I am going to start with my volcano up here. Go ahead and you guys can just draw exactly what I'm drawing here. That's kind of volcano shaped. I'll add a little bit more detail to my volcano later. And I'm going to draw the ground here as well. Now, what's this layer called again? That's right. The first layer of the earth, the one that we live on, the surface of the earth, is called the crust. So let's go ahead and label it the crust. Now, this is definitely not going to be to scale, but I am also going to include the layer that's below that, and that's the mantle. So I'm going to label that the mantle. All right. And remember, up the center of a volcano kind of looks like that. It doesn't look like that on the outside, but on the inside, there's a central area where all of the magma from the mantle comes on up here. So now that I've got the basics of my story, let's get to the details. The first word I need to use is melting. Now, where is rock melting? That's right, deep below the earth, the rock is melting down here because of the heat of the mantle. So I'm not going to write a whole sentence here. I'm just going to write myself some notes. But the first step in my igneous rock story is that the magma is melting. So this is where your story is going to begin. Deep down in the earth, in the mantle where the magma is melting. And those are actually two of my vocabulary words. Magma is one of my vocabulary words, and melting is one of my vocabulary words. So I'm going to underline those because those are important. All right, so what is going to happen next? I know my story starts here in the mantle where the magma is melting because it is very toasty hot here. So how does it then cool and turn into an igneous rock? Well, the magma has to start rising up the center of the volcano. So I'm going to draw arrows that are pointing up to show that's the direction the magma is rising. And I'm going to put that as the second step the magma rises up the volcano. Okay. So we know at the beginning the magma's melting in the mantle. We know it then starts to rise up the volcano. And the most dramatic part, what happens next? That's right, the volcano erupts. So we now have magma coming out and spilling out our volcano. You can draw that however you'd like. Here I've got some magma that's dripping down the side. You could even put some kind of exploding out the top. That's up to you. However you'd like to show that your volcano is erupting is up to you. So I'm going to put that as my third step. The volcano erupts. Okay. So I've used the word magma, I've used the word melting. I now need to make sure that I use the words lava, cooling, and igneous rock. Now, have you ever seen a video of a volcano? What happens when all of this lava starts to pour down the side of the volcano? It starts off bright red and orange and very hot, and then what happens to the color? It turns dark black. That is the lava cooling. So here, I'm going to put an arrow, and as my fourth step, I'm going to say the lava, there's another vocabulary word, the lava cools. Cooling, there's another one of my vocabulary words. And remember, magma's on the inside, but now that it's outside, the lava cools. Now the last word that I haven't used is igneous rock. I'm actually going to add on to this right here. The lava cools into an igneous rock. So that lava cooling down and solidifying into a solid is where it turns into an igneous rock. So there you have it. The story begins by the magma melting deep in the mantle. The magma then begins to rise up out the volcano. The volcano then erupts and sends lava flying everywhere. And when that lava cools and solidifies and turns into a solid, that's how you get an igneous rock. So go ahead, if you need, pause this video and make sure your igneous rock model is complete. Once your igneous rock model is complete, then you're ready to tell that section of your story. You've modeled it, you've drawn a picture, now you're going to write the story. So in this space right here, you need to take that model that we just drew and turn it into a story. So take those steps, turn them into complete sentences, and make sure when you're telling that part of the story, you use all of these vocab words right here. Now you want to make sure that you don't write it like this. The magma's melting, the magma rises, the volcano erupts, and the lava cools to an igneous rock. Remember, in your story, you are telling your story from the perspective of a rock. So you have to think like a rock, and you want to describe what your rock is seeing and feeling and experiencing throughout this whole process. You're welcome to add in some humor and creativity. Just make sure that you use all of these words right here. You are welcome to handwrite it here on this page in your packet. You are also welcome to type it. So any of you absent students can't say I didn't have my packet, because you can always type it in Google Docs. Last but not least, if you need some inspiration for how to tell your story, there is an example story at the very back of the packet. You are welcome to read that to get ideas, but remember, it's just inspiration. Do not plagiarize. So that's what you need to complete today. You need to complete the igneous rock model, and you need to tell the igneous rock section of your story today. Leave the other sections for the following days. These are the only two things you need to complete today. If you have any questions, rewatch this video, look at the example story, or email. Have a great day.